Hi everyone, welcome. Welcome to Connect the Story. We have here a very special lady that we met the other day. We have great content for you today. I'm not even gonna introduce her because she has so much to say about what she does and who she is, and we just wanted to bring her because we were so impressed and blown away by what we heard. So we're like, we have to get you on our show. So I'm gonna let her introduce herself, tell her actual story about her name, which is pretty interesting, and I will let her take it from here. So, welcome.
Yes, thank you for having me, Arturo.
Thank you.
I'm happy to be here. My name is Curin Romich, and I am from Berks County, born and raised, and I actually do business development for Fleetwood Bank and cash management services for Fleetwood Bank. And a little story about my name. My name is an Irish name. I am not Irish, I am German, and actually Curin is a common last name in Ireland, and it's also a men's name in Ireland. But I am not a male, and I've never been a male, so you have to preface that. And my mom mentioned that she heard the name Curin in a movie before I was even born, and she has never yet told me what movie that is because I don't think she remembers either. So
cool.
It is interesting.
I mean, it says a lot about her. She sounds very adventurous, and it's like, oh, you know what? Let's seize this. That's good.
Yes.
Now I see where it comes from.
Yes, definitely.
Well, how about we just start there? How about I love how you introduce yourself with your name and your story, but how would you introduce yourself if you didn't have to say what you do? How would you introduce to someone?
I would introduce myself as someone who enjoys volunteering, who enjoys being involved in the community and helping others. That's kind of my motto, like service above self. I was a Rotarian back in the day, and that is their motto. So I've taken that to my heart, and it's near and dear to my heart to help other people, because I believe that I was brought here doing what I'm doing to come in contact with great people like you throughout my business ventures and my personal ventures. So I spend a lot of my time, if I'm not at work, but I'm also volunteering and contributing to a lot of different organizations in and around Berks County.
Nice. Okay. There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just ask you this. So you like volunteering.
Yes.
So what would you say that is your, the cause that's nearest to your heart?
There's one that's very near and dear to my heart, and that is Safe Berks, which is a shelter for domestically abused men and women, and they are now accepting pets there.
Oh, wow.
So Safe Berks is very near and dear to my heart. Just knowing people who have gone through personal struggles and being able to help them and find them resources, that's important to me. I'm also, on the board of the Greater Reading Mental Health Alliance, and that is another thing that's near and dear to my heart because I think a lot of people do not understand mental health and that it does affect a lot of people. It's not a disability that you may be able to see, or it's not an issue that somebody is outwardly showing. It's definitely, it can be internal, and you never know what somebody's going through. So I always think that being kind is always the way to go. I'm also on a committee for breast cancer support services. I know a lot of people who have gone through cancer, so that's another avenue that I like to be able to give back and raise funds for. The list goes on. There's so many.
And that's amazing, and it's commendable. And I know that we need more people like you. So it's great that you are doing what you're doing, and I just it's often or a thankless job.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah. But I come by it honestly. My mom was very much into volunteerism, and being raised in a household where volunteerism is prevalent, it helps you kind of just ease into that role yourself.
Okay.
And my mom still is retired, and she still volunteers her time to a lot of different organizations. And she's president of the board of the Ole Community Library. So she's very involved. And I like to be involved as well, and we do things together. She supports my causes, I support her causes.
Oh, so nice.
So we try to do things as a family as well.
That's great. Okay. I'm going to go down really deep now.
Okay.
So I have this notion, or probably I just think that maybe I'm mistaken, but usually I've noticed that the people that help the most are people that come from a place of empathy. probably a place of maybe difficult times or difficult situations. Probably you can relate to some of the things that you help with, and you probably wanted someone to be there, and probably somebody wasn't, and then you want to be that person that wasn't there, or probably there was somebody and you're like, I want to keep doing this because at a time of need that person was there. So which one would you say?
What is my why?
Yes,
is that what you're wondering?
Pretty much.
So we are going to go deep.
Yeah.
And the people that I might discuss might see this one day, and I kind of wish that they would.
Okay.
I do have a sister who's 8 years younger than me.
Okay.
She has 3 kids.
Okay.
They are my mom and stepfather's only grandkids because I do not have kids, never been married. And about 2.5 years ago, we went through a little bit of a struggle, and she is married to someone who does suffer from mental health issues. So again, that's the reason for the Greater Reading Mental Health Alliance, to try to understand him. But he is keeping my sister and the kids from our family. So we have not spoken to them in about 2.5 years.
Wow.
And it just so happens that about 2 to 3 days ago, my stepfather received text pictures of my niece and nephews, and we didn't know where they lived, have no way of getting contact with them until these messages came in, and they are living in Texas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I hope that they are thriving, but there were some, maybe not outward domestic abuse, but the verbal abuse is also domestic abuse. Emotional abuse is also domestic abuse, in my opinion. So that's another reason why I wanted to learn more about those organizations, to figure out how maybe I could help my sister get out of what she was in. I did discover through doing all this volunteerism that you can't help somebody who's not willing to help themselves. And if they were already out and they went back, that was a choice that they made. So, yeah, a lot of people don't know a lot about my family dynamic. There are, a handful of people that do, but that is a lot of behind the why I do what I do on the side of the Greater Reading Mental Health Alliance and Safe Berks.
I hear you. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, it's, again, it's a lot to unpack.
It is.
But like you said, and it's kind of the reason why, or one of the reasons why that we actually do this, is because of that. You never know somebody's story. All you know is what, obviously they want you to see. But we have mental health as something that is tucked away. It's something that is, we've been taught. I don't know if it's more like generational, but when I was growing up, it's like, okay, you don't talk about these things with
it's
people.
shameful.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's like you shouldn't.
It's embarrassing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
So now we're living in a different age where you find that you can at least express it, and there's a lot more resources, but that doesn't mean that everybody feels comfortable yet.
Correct.
So I can see where you're coming from. I mean, it's a need, and it's something that it is difficult because, like you said, somebody has to actually know that they need it to,
recognize that they have something that needs attention or needs to be able to talk to somebody about things. But if they don't see a problem with themselves or their actions, then that's a tough situation to navigate as well.
Absolutely.
But I think just being able to educate myself, and maybe, when I get the chance to see my sister or talk to my sister again, or her kids, my nephews and niece, I think that maybe the things that I've learned, maybe I can help them. And I don't know if they want to be helped, but, I sure hope that we get to see them one day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, it's starting to show. Like 3 days ago, you're getting this. I know that eventually, it'll happen. I know that for a fact.
I hope so. I cross my fingers because I do miss them.
Absolutely. Okay, so if we go back, I like the fact that you said someday they might hear this. So how else would you like to be known, remembered in your story? Can we just go back? I know that you're a local. You were born locally. You grew up local. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, I can start at the beginning.
Okay.
I grew up in Reading on Fairview Street, living with my mom.
Nice.
She met my stepfather when I was 6. They married and had my sister when I was 8. and we moved to Leesport. So half of second grade, moved to a new school district in Schuylkill Valley, and went there all the way through eighth grade. Eighth grade was in the high school at Schuylkill Valley, so I'd already had all my friends. I was ready to go, ready to enter high school with all my whole group of friends that I've already been with since second grade.
Yeah.
And my parents say, we're moving.
Ah.
So we moved to the Ole Valley. And I am actually very glad that that had happened. But I started high school, a brand new high school, not knowing a soul. And if anybody knows the Ole Valley, all those kids went to school together since they were in kindergarten. So I was trying to infiltrate friend groups and get to know people. But my saving grace was the fact that I played softball since I was 8 years old. And I played in high school, and they thought, well, we're going to get the girl that's pretty good from Schuylkill Valley. So that's kind of how I was able to make friends, by being involved in sports. So I played softball when I was in high school, and I also played in college. I went to Kutztown University and played softball there. When I graduated college, and even throughout college, I was playing in an adult softball league. Okay. So I played in fast pitch women's league until I was 36 years old. Wow. So yeah, a very long time. But yeah, those skills that you learn working as a team, and the camaraderie and being around a team, that's helped me in life. I started working for a bank when I was 20 years old. Once I graduated college, I went full time, and I've been in banking through very different stages of banking. I spent some time on the investment side of banking. I've been a branch manager. I've left banking for 9 months and decided I didn't want to do banking anymore, and I went right back because it's what I knew, it's what I felt comfortable in, and everything else has just been fluid of that situation, staying in banking and going through the different challenges that life brings you. Yeah. I've moved to New Jersey. I've moved to Maryland, but I've moved back every time because, you try to run away from your roots, and you try to run away from everybody knowing you and knowing your family, but you can only do that for so long until you embrace it. Yeah. And I wanted to be around my family. And that's when my sister had started having kids. So I wanted to be here and be present in their lives. Not knowing it would be cut short a little bit, but maybe it'll come back again. But yeah, I just think that, growing up and going through different challenges, making brand new friends, starting high school, and high school is a kind of a traumatic experience for anybody, even going through with having the friends that you've had for many years. Yeah. So doing that and embracing my friend groups. I still travel with my college friends. We go on trips and we get together. My high school friends, I see them occasionally. The Great Ole Fair always happens in September, so I see them a lot during that time. Nice. But yeah, just kind of going back to your roots. And I bought a house in Exeter in 2019, so I was able to stay in Berks County and work in Berks County. And Berks County is what I know and love. Nice. It's where I work, where we play, where I have my friends.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit more about, let's go back to softball.
Yes.
So why softball?
Why softball? I grew up in Leesport on the lower end of Main Street, and it was pretty much across from the Leesport playground. Oh. And when I first moved to Leesport, I was about 8 years old. And I gandered off to the park, and I saw these girls playing softball, and I ran home to my parents and said, I want to do this. And just that quick, they went over and asked, and they were still accepting people to sign up. So nice. I signed up and started, and here we are all these years later. Nice. Okay. And I did even coach when Ole Middle School started their softball program. I was the coach for the first 3 seasons that they had.
I love that you brought that up. Okay, so I have 2 girls. Okay. So my oldest, she's 15. My youngest is 13. So I know that when you're saying that there's this transition of middle school to high school, so it's even if you have your friends, it's a difficult stage because even though you have a group of friends, but there's also a bunch of other people you have to interact with, and large groups and teams are like, yeah. So what do you think, or what would you say to someone that wants to build that confidence? I know that you sound very outgoing. Like I just talk to you and I get this energy, like I want to be this person's friend. Yeah. So, but I know that probably wasn't what happened in high school for you, or maybe it was. So how was that experience in that transition when you had to meet new friends? And just to give an example of any teens that would be watching, how did you approach that situation?
Well, it's interesting that you say that because when you're going through high school and adolescence and, maturing, half the time teenagers don't even like themselves.
Exactly.
Because I was one of those teenagers. I was like, I don't like school. I didn't like myself. I'm just going to play softball and I'm going to go to some big D1 school and do all those things. But when it comes down to it, you have to be friendly. And I always found myself smiling through maybe nervousness, maybe being scared, maybe just having a rough day. But I always tried to smile and greet people with a smile. Because as I said before, you never know what kind of day somebody is having. Yeah. And just your smile could change, their trajectory of their day. Yeah. So I think just trying to, invite people to have conversations and allow them to talk to you about who they are, because not everybody wants somebody to come in and say, this is who I am and this is what I do and I'm going to talk about myself. Yeah. Being a good listener, I think, helps with that transition of being an adolescent going through school and maybe, you thought you had a nice group of friends and maybe they stabbed you in the back or maybe they weren't kind to you. Yeah. But there's always going to be a group of friends that people might call the outcasts, but they're still people too. Yeah. And they're still, there's a lot to get to know about them that maybe they're afraid to share. Yeah. So just finding that group that makes you feel comfortable and values who you are as an individual and you value who they are, I think that's how you create friendships in high school. And that's certainly what I did. Softball definitely helped because it helps you because you're in a team sport. If you're more in an individualized sport, like say you were doing a single event of track, that might be a little bit hard, but there's still a team around you because there's still a whole track team. Yeah. But just being involved in a sport or even just getting involved in school, there's different club groups, different groups that you can be involved in, and that's how you can oftentimes meet friends that are on your level and that have the same interests that you have.
I mean, it's funny that you say that because I just keep hearing it, but it sounds like adulthood too. It's like if you're an adult, you have that group of friends, that they're considered outcasts, that they're probably, not big into sports or this and that, but they can become people people close to you if you give them a chance. Yeah. So I think it's like high school continues. Yes. It's like it's just you just keep going and then you just go into debt, but it's just high school.
Yeah, but now there's the social media aspect of things. All the kids have a cell phone. It wasn't like that when I was in school. That's true. And I did spend a lot of time outside growing up because I lived, on a lower end that wasn't a busy street. I was always riding my bike, being outside. Yeah. We didn't have what was called screen time now. You didn't have that. So I think that kids now, sometimes they lose the social aspect of meeting friends because they're so buried in the phones. And then they're also, there's kids that bully people online. Yeah. But I think that they're only hiding their own insecurities when they do that. So I think just, some people aren't into sports. Maybe they're into theater and the arts. And maybe you're involved in a play. Maybe you're involved in the stage crew for the play. Yeah. Maybe you're involved in chorus or band. Everybody has their own group that they fit in somewhere, but it's just a matter of finding those true people and knowing, what you want to surround yourself with.
Absolutely. Okay, so were you doing volunteering at that point?
In high school, I did a little bit. My father, not my stepfather, he was much into the restaurant business. Okay. So from the time I was 13, I would work in the various restaurants that he managed, whether it be bussing tables, being a hostess, or just, working a lot. Okay. So I did play softball a lot. So I was traveling a lot in the summer. So I didn't always work, but whenever my dad needed help, I would work in the restaurant. So I think that volunteering wasn't as prevalent when I was in high school. But now it is a lot more, and there are what's called community service hours that the students have to do, especially if you're involved in the National Honor Society at the different high schools. You have to do the community service. So volunteerism when I was in high school wasn't prevalent like it is now. Okay. Now kids oftentimes use it as a resume builder. Yeah. I'm involved in the Ole Valley Business Association, and I'm on that scholarship committee. So I interview the students in Ole when they're seniors and they apply for our scholarship. And just hearing the volunteerism and the things that these students do, they can run laps around the things that I did in high school.
Nice.
But they also have a lot more availability to opportunities to volunteer that maybe weren't prevalent when I was in school.
True.
So now I'm dating myself.
I mean, wow. I'm thinking of all the things that you do, and it just begs the question, and how do you find the time?
I don't sleep that much.
Okay.
And I think I definitely was a lot more involved as I'm hitting my mid-40s. I'm not as, I shouldn't say, I used to go to every single thing that there was, whether it was a networking event through the chamber, whether it was being involved in a committee or sitting on a board. I did everything. I didn't say no to anything.
Okay.
But then that often leads to burnout. So then you're not giving 100% of your energy to anything that you're doing. You're not at your best. So then sometimes you have to take a step back. And I think that I've said no a little bit more in the past maybe 6 months than I have previously.
Okay.
Just because I can't do everything. I can't be everything to everyone. But if I can't attend an event and they need raffles or fundraiser items, I will definitely go out there and talk to my connections and try and get them things that's going to help raise money for whatever event that I can't get to.
Okay.
So I oftentimes do that. One other thing I do, I'm the treasurer of the Friends of the Exeter Township Police Department. So that recently has been taking up a lot of my time.
Okay.
Because we do a lot in the Exeter area to help our police get what they need.
Okay.
And that's taken up a lot of my time lately. But it's for good reason.
I'm going to tell you though, I work with the police very often. I work with the courts, and Exeter is, one of those things that everybody's just like, I wish I was in Exeter.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that it's nice for them to, I know that they feel they have support, community support.
Yes.
They feel like they're really well treated. So I don't know if maybe that also, I don't know if you have gotten that feedback, but I know that it's everybody's just like, it's
they
great.
are appreciative. So our organization's been around for 2 years.
Okay.
We raised money for what are called angel lights that go on the policemen's shoulders, as well as our canines in Exeter. And if they're pulling somebody over in the evening hours and it's dark out, they just hit their angel light and it flashes up to, I believe, 3 to 5 miles you can see just this square or rectangular angel light on their shoulder, on their uniform. So we raise money for that. We also raise money if anybody goes down Perkiomen Avenue in Exeter in the Riften area. We have what are called hometown hero banners that are displayed throughout there. That was our initiative as well. Nice. We had a ceremony last October. And we had, a bunch of different township officials, local officials there for that ceremony. And we just recently had a very shortened version to kick off the Exeter Food Truck Festival that happened last Friday. Okay. So we had a couple of more banners that we were hanging up, and we invited their families to join in that celebration. But it wasn't to the magnitude of the first one because of space and location and our vicinity of where we had to have that ceremony.
I'm glad that you are here because I just hear what someone can achieve if they set their mind to it. You sound like a problem solver, or more like, this is what we can do, and if it's not getting done, then I will volunteer and get it done, or I will find the means to do it. So it's like it's nice to see that you're taking charge of, okay, let's just do it. So I get that a lot usually when there's a call to volunteer or there's a call to do anything. It's people are usually just involved in their day-to-day so much so that they take that for granted. So I feel like their day-to-day could be so much easier if we all did a little bit of something. Yeah. So with that, I see that everywhere you go, you take whatever needs to be done, whatever it needs to be fixed, and you actually take on that. But you also say that you do that and you achieve a lot of that because of your connections and the networking you've been doing. Yep. So can we talk a little bit more about that? I know that we as people have the screen time, we have the emails, we have all this stuff going on, And in reality, business is a transaction between two people that, it's a win-win. But to connect those people, that's where the problem is. How do you connect the demand with the supply? So networking wise, how has that helped you, or do you have any advice for anybody that is trying to make those more valuable connections in the community?
Yeah. So it's interesting that you say that, because I like to look at myself as a connector. And I say people do business with people they know, like, and trust. So that's kind of the motto that I live by. And I do connect people. And you talk about networking. So back in November, I was asked to do coffee and conversations for the Greater Reading Chamber Alliance. And I put on a networking presentation. It was about 45 minutes long. And I had about 50 attendees at that session. And we talked strictly about networking. And we also engaged and talked about the room, like people mingled with who they didn't know. I made them sit with people they've never met before, because a lot of times you're going to gravitate towards somebody that you already know.
Absolutely.
But I like to make it a mission to, if I don't know somebody in the room, I'm going to go over there and get to know them. Or if I see somebody I know talking to somebody who I don't know, I'm going to go over there and talk to the person I know and say, oh yeah, by the way, I'm Curin Romich. So you just put yourself out there to meet new people, because I like to help. Like, if there's somebody that I can't personally help, but I know somebody that can help them, I will connect those two people together. And the reason I'm able to do that is through networking. So I've done several networking presentations to different groups in the area. Also through work, we do fraud seminars. So I'm out there meeting people naturally through my day-to-day work, through my day-to-day volunteerism. And I think that helps just build my repertoire of knowing people in the area. I know a couple of people in the Montgomery and Chester County area, but Berks County is my sweet spot of knowing people and helping people. But that doesn't mean I can't, get to know people more in Montgomery and Chester, because I'm also involved in the Tri-County Chamber. So that's where those chambers come in, and I'm getting to know a lot of those folks down there as well. So, I mean, just putting yourself out there and going into a networking event with a mission. I want to get a couple of people's business cards who I've never met before. I want to give them my card. Let's set up a coffee. Let's set up a lunch, just to get to know people. Yeah. Like, just precisely how I met you. Yeah. You didn't even know who I was. No. I knew who you were through somebody else that I know, Nick, and he said, reach out to this guy. He's doing big things. So I sent you an email, and you were kind enough to respond, not even knowing who I was. But I did, name drop Nick, because you have a good relationship with Nick. So it's just funny how things like that come to fruition just by putting yourself out there. I could have said, oh yeah, I'm going to email him, and never did. No, I'm not going to do that, because Nick trusts that you and I would get along. So I'm like, all right, let's do it. That's true. And we did.
I love what you just said right now. It's just a matter of putting yourself out there. So I think that that stops us from doing a lot of connecting. The fact that we feel that fear of, well, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. So I'm just going to ask you, what do you think is the reason why we don't connect more? I'm not just saying business. I'm just saying like friendship, or just any type of relationship. What is it that you feel that, and I know I'm asking you because I know that you see it all the time and you see it from different angles. Yeah. What would you say to that?
I will say that through working and volunteerism, sometimes my friendships do suffer, because I'm not able to be that person that's constantly reaching out to others, because I'm either putting out fires or battling different ideas or connecting people, because that's what makes my livelihood and my work go around. And at the end of the day, I need to put food on my table and pay my bills. Absolutely. Or somebody's going to come after my house and take my stuff. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I do have a full-time job that I have to do, but a lot of these connections that I've made through networking have helped my business, because they have, used our bank to either open accounts or do loans, or allow me to provide them with cash management services. So it does go hand in hand. Not every connection you make is going to result in business, because, banks are, its own beast. Yeah. And either people are wanting to make a change or they're not. We are the bank the only bank that's headquartered in Berks County. So that is one feather in the cap that we have, and we are local and have local decision making. So that's what I also try to emulate with my connections as well, is make them genuine, make them kind, and make them, worthwhile for each party. Yeah. But I think, do my personal relationships suffer? Yeah, they do. But you only live once, and your true friends are going to be there if you can't pick up the phone every day, and maybe it's every other week, or maybe it's once a month that you get a chance to chat with them. Yeah. But then make that conversation meaningful. Yeah. I did also work 2 jobs for 21 years. I worked part-time at the Santander Arena, and this past January was 2 years I haven't worked there. So I did miss a lot of things with my friends and family by working 2 jobs, because I would leave one job, go right to the next. And I worked every single event that the Santander had during most of those years. Got it. So I think now just being able to pick and choose and going to the right events where I know I'm going to meet people that I haven't met before. But you did ask what that's like. I think a lot of people gravitate towards the people that they know and don't always want to step outside of their comfort zone. So I encourage people to just put on a nice dress or a nice outfit, feel confident about yourself, and try it, because you'll meet new people.
That's true. And it is like you said, we just met, and your personality is magnetic. I mean, it just feels like, hey, you know what? I want to keep talking with this person. I just want to know more and more. So I know that not everybody has that personality, but going back to what you said before, it's like you can just find that group that you feel like, we have more interest, or that person looks like, that they're outside. Let me just go talk to them because we're at the same event, might as well. Yeah. So it's more like you could see that in the room. Yeah. Yeah, because I'm an introvert. So if I see somebody that is very outgoing, I might not want to talk to them right off the bat, because I know I'm not going to. It's a more like a thing, like I can't match that energy. Right. So it's like
intimidating maybe.
Yeah, a little bit. So I just go for the person that is just, a little bit more calm, I would say, more calm energy. Yeah. And you make a lot of good acquaintances that way. You make me meet a lot of great friends. Nick was one of those. Yeah. Nick was like, he is so calm, and so, and he'll make you feel comfortable, and know by the things he says, he's being sincere. So it's like, you know what, even if we don't make a connection now, I'm sure that somewhere down the line, like you said, someone that you know, trust, and what was that?
That you know, like, and trust. Yes.
Know, like, and trust. There you go. So Nick is a person like that for us. But, and so are you now. So good. I know that, if in anything that we would want to do, then obviously we we know who to reach out to. It's you immediately off the bat. But let me ask you this, because this is what happens to our business. And I know that we're talking about your story, and we're going to go back to that. But I have had situations several times where people already met me, they know me, I know that they like me, and then it's like they forget. So it's more like, this is what we do, and then all of a sudden it's like, sheesh, I need this person, I need this service. We do languages. Right. So I need this, I need an interpreter for an event that I have, but who can I reach out to? Who can I reach out to? People that have been here, we've had conversations about it, and then all of a sudden someone else has to refer us for them to remember us. So I know that doesn't happen just to us. Yeah. Do you think that maybe it's just because it's something like too niche? Or I know that I'm not the only, business owner that's going through that situation.
I think that sometimes, and I look at it this way, so if you're out of sight, you're out of mind. Yeah. So just being out there and being present and networking your business and working your business, I think that's what it is. Because if I wasn't out on the networking circuit, people would be like, well, like, who is this person? Like, I don't know who she is. But now that I've been out there for a couple of years on the networking circuit, they will reach out to me and say, where have you been? Or like, you haven't posted in a couple of days. Like, what's going on? Okay. But you gotta create that brand for yourself. Yeah. I think that's what helps people keep you in mind. I don't know anyone else that does language translation services, so you are my go-to because I truly don't know anyone else, and I don't have a relationship with anyone else that does that service. Yeah. Do I know a lot of realtors? You might know a lot of people that do the same thing, but they may not be the right fit for your referral.
Sure.
So there's a couple of different realtors that I know, and I base it on the personality of the person that I'm referring and who I think they would get along best with.
Yeah.
Because I even do that in my own job because I do business development and it's for commercial loans, but I get to pick which lender I think will best suit the customer that I'm dealing with or the prospect that I'm dealing with. Because not everybody is intended to get along with everyone. That's just
true.
not the way this world works. But certain personalities get along and certain clash. So you just have to know the right fit. But I think also just being out there and being present. At the end of the day, we're both in sales. I mean, we're selling our brand, we're selling our business. Absolutely. And being passionate about what you do, which I know you are, because we had this conversation at lunch, and I'm passionate about what I do. As long as we can relay that to other people, they'll feel our passion.
I agree. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But let me just ask you this. So you went from softball. Well, you were playing softball. Mm-hmm. You graduated high school, and then if you, I seen you in my head in different roles.
Yeah.
So you have mentioned you have worked at restaurants. You had been playing softball. You were very in positions where you would relate to people and talk to people, and you were just very social because your day to day kind of like demanded it.
Yeah.
Finance is not like that. At least if I'm looking at it, I don't know because it's like okay, I numbers. Mm-hmm. So what made you go from that background into finance? Did something call your attention? Were you inspired in someone else? Or?
Interesting. My mom worked on the investment side of National Penn Bank way back when. And when I stopped playing softball after my sophomore year, she said, if you're not going to play softball, you got to get a job. So that's when I applied to be college summer help or winter break help at the bank. But I was going to school for communications, and I have a minor in public relations. Okay. So I thought, well, I'm just going to do this for now. And I wanted to work in New York City for a big PR firm and do all those things. Yeah. No. When I graduated, I was like, yeah, it's not going to happen. Because, I graduated college in 2002, and that's when there were no full-time jobs to be had for college graduates. Yeah. And a full-time slot opened up at the National Penn in Jackson Weld, which is where I was working. Okay. And I just went in there full-time with a college degree. Nice. I think I was making $22,000 a year. And back then, that still wasn't a lot. Okay. I had an apartment in Reading on South 16th Street, and I was on the 3rd floor, and I believe I paid $425 a month. Yeah. So, I did all those things. Should I have in turn stayed home with my parents? Probably for a couple of years. But when you graduate college and you're on your own, you just want to be out there on your own. That's true. So you just make it work. You deal with the struggles. So I didn't always want to be in finance. I didn't even know I wanted to do it until a couple of years go by and you're in the industry. And then, I wanted to work every single Saturday because at that time you got paid time and a half to work on a Saturday. Okay. And they told me if I wanted to do that, I couldn't take from the other tellers. I needed to start opening accounts. So then I started doing that. And I was working every single Saturday. So I would work 6 days a week. Yeah. Then through working at the bank, that's how when they were opening up the arena in town, I was asked to go and work in food and beverage. So then I did that. So 2 jobs, like I said, for 21 years. Wow. I thought, well, I'll just work this part-time job for a little while. Might as well. 21 years later. It's like you grew up with some of the folks there, and we still go on cruises in the fall. Oh, nice. All the people that I worked with growing up at the arena. Okay. And it's been fun. And that's that group of friends. So also I will say another thing about being in sales, you're like a chameleon. So you adapt to the situations and you create common ground with people that you're talking to. Okay. So I know when you and I were talking at lunch, we were talking about the different languages, and I was asking a lot of questions and then telling you about my life experiences with languages and things like that. and knowing what to look for and how I can help your business and vice versa. And we talked about how you can help my business. But I think that, just finding that common ground and also being a well-rounded person, I think that helps. Just having different life experiences. And that doesn't always cost money to have life experiences. There's a lot of things you can do for free.
I love what you said. I mean, and it makes so much sense. It's like people think of sales as, just call this person and then just sell them something. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way.
No.
And so it's like when you are, and sales is much more than that. You are selling, when you're creating a connection, you're selling that a relationship, or you're selling your brand or your skills or whatever it is, or your personality. So the way that you do that and the way that you make a connection in any type of networking or sales is through finding common ground.
Correct.
So that's very insightful.
Yeah.
Cool. See?
Yeah.
I love it. So and this is, I want to talk a little bit about this because to me, my mom is my hero. To me, it sounds like your mom is your hero. You're talking a lot about your mom, and a lot of things that you have done and who you are and where you are now comes from her. Can you tell me a little bit more about her?
Well,
what is your relationship with your mom? Or
yeah, so it kind of goes back a little bit further. So my mom and I have a very close relationship because it was just her and I from the time I was born till the time I was 6 when she met my stepfather. So it was just her and I.
Okay.
And my dad's mother, my grandmother, her and I were very close.
Okay.
I always had a little bit of a different relationship with my father. But as I got older, that relationship started to change. It got a little bit better.
Okay.
But he chose to do different things when I was younger. And my mom was always there for me. And my grandmother was always there for me. So I get a lot of my volunteerism from my mom.
Yeah.
But I get a lot of my laughter, my smile, and just my outgoingness from my grandmother.
Okay.
I do get a lot from her. So it's a lot of my mom and a lot of my grandmother. My mom knows so many people.
Yeah.
And everyone says to me, you know everybody. I don't know everybody. I know a lot of people.
Yeah.
But like I come by that honestly from my mom. So yeah, she's my hero when it comes to like the volunteerism and instilling that in me, and helping others is important.
Yeah.
But on the other side of like my personality, I think I get a lot of that from my grandmother.
Okay.
Just because of the person that she was. She was always the light of the room, the life of the party. She was always just being involved. She used to live in the wintertime. They called her a snowbird. She had a place down in Florida.
Nice.
So we would oftentimes, all of us cousins and family, go down there.
Oh, wow.
And she was the life of the clubhouse. And she loved to show off her family. And she would like us to come down there. We'd all wear the same T-shirts, our family T-shirts with our family picture on it. And at the time, I was like, this is so embarrassing.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, now I love it.
Yeah.
Like it's something that, you did growing up, and everybody knew who Joan Emery was. And I feel like that's important. And they look at her with love and respect from her attitude and her personality.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how, like you said, how do you want to be remembered? I want to be remembered by somebody who helped others and, pick somebody up when they were down, or even just talk to whoever was out there. Like I like to get to know people, and I want to be that friendly face. And if somebody needs something, that my door is always open. I can always chat with somebody to help them through a tough time.
And it's commendable. Thank you.
So yeah, 2 people are my heroes.
So that's
There's probably way more out there that I'm just not even, thinking
But
of.
it sounds like they are amazing ladies, and your grandmother obviously was an influence, because I'm going to tell you something. You did say that everybody used to come down to Florida, all the cousins and everybody. Not everybody does that.
Right.
Not everybody has that pull. When you're talking about, you used to hate it, but then it's like you did it.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
she was the matriarch of that side of the family, and when she passed, we went through a lot of tough times. Yeah. It's hard to find the dynamic again once you lose the matriarch of your family.
Yeah.
But now, all these years later, she passed in 2012, so all these years later, like, we're still getting along and having gatherings.
Yeah.
I just got a group text the other day from my uncle who has a pool at his house.
Oh, wow.
We're having a pool party on Sunday. Thank God he has a heated pool, because it's going to be chilly.
Yes.
But it's another way to get all the cousins together.
Yeah.
Because my dad passed in 2019 too. So
Right.
then it's another avenue to have that relationship with my dad's side of the family, even though he's no longer with us.
I hear you.
So I try to always make time for them when I'm invited somewhere with them.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've covered
A
your
lot.
early childhood. We covered college. Did we cover college? Because you did say
Softball.
So
Yeah.
a little bit. And softball. And okay, so you started work. I want to ask about just something random. In your understanding, what has been the best compliment you have ever gotten? It's one of those
Yeah.
make you think kind of questions.
Honestly, I'm going to say it happened more recently. I was nervous to do that networking presentation back in January.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie. I was like, oh, wow. I've never, I've done presentations before, but it's always been on a panel of people. But this was just one-on-one, me and the room.
Yeah.
And I think the best compliment I received was after that presentation, somebody came up to me and said, that day and then after that day was, I really took to what you said, and I'm gonna, put myself out there and utilize my social media and try to create my own brand. I'm like, okay, I love that for you.
Nice.
And then another person came up to me who is in a business development role in a different industry altogether, and he has embraced this on LinkedIn. So Drew, if you're listening, it's you. He has embraced everything, and honestly, he makes better LinkedIn posts than I do. I'm like, now you're putting me to shame. But I think just helping others in a similar line of work, but even if you're doing sales for a different industry, I think everybody can relate to the power of networking. I didn't invent the selfie, but I kind of made it my own brand. Okay. So wherever I go, whatever I do, I'm always taking a selfie and posting it on social media. I post on Facebook, it gets carried over to Instagram, and then I do my LinkedIn post where I'm tagging the folks and their businesses so that way I can get in their algorithms with their connections that they have on LinkedIn. So I think just having the compliment of, all right, I see what you're doing, and I'm going to do that too, and it's really helping my business. I think that's just a compliment in and of itself.
I hear you.
It doesn't need to be like, oh, well, you taught me how to do this. No, it's just I can see it because I'm connected with them on social media, and I see what they're doing, and they're doing it better than I am, which is great.
Awesome.
Like, do that. Because now it's going to make me kick up my game a little.
So it is funny that you brought up the social media part because it was funny. The other day I just saw a video. I think it was a dentist, and he was like doing like a video, and then he was supposedly shooting a TikTok, and then you could see it's like, oh my God, I just want to pull teeth. I don't want to be like, now I gotta like be a TikTok star for like my clients to come in or get patients. So I like what you said, just the fact that you post, wherever you are, you just take a picture, you just post it, and then that's it. It's not. It doesn't have to be anything like too elaborate. It doesn't have to be a whole production. So it's more like, I'm here.
Yeah. But it's also created that brand of, if I'm at an event with somebody and I usually take a selfie with them, if they miss having a selfie and they see my post, they will comment on my post like, you missed me at this event and we did not take a selfie yet. And I was like, all right, next time it's happening.
That's it.
So like people will seek me out. And sometimes, like, I'll tell you, not every day is 110% for me. Sometimes I'm tired. Sometimes I'm just having a rough day of my own.
Yeah.
But I always like take a look in the mirror in the car before I go into the event. And maybe I'm not always taking pictures in the very beginning, but then somebody will come up to me and like say, oh yeah, let's take a selfie. Oh yeah, let me get my phone out. Let me do that. Let me start to, and then I'm like, okay, I'm like, all right, I'm here. I'm feeding off the energy of other people. Because sometimes I need to do that. I can't always be the one with the energy. I need to feed off the others.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's impossible.
Because I do recharge my battery sometimes. There will be days that maybe I won't leave my house. Okay. And I'll just sit and watch TV because I don't get to do that often.
That's true.
So there'll be a couple, like maybe a day a month, or sometimes I wish it's more. But I'm recharging my battery. I'm just laying around the house, doing laundry, watching TV, watching my DVR.
Just some you time,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
So, okay. Let me ask you this. because we were talking about language before. If you could live in any country, because we're talking about recharging batteries as well. I just went ahead and just went into
Yeah.
So if you had to go, if you wanted to go to any country, wherever, this is a trick though, you don't speak the language. Any country in which you don't speak the language, even though it's not going to be a barrier, which country would you go to and why?
Okay, well now you've opened up another can of Curin. So
let us all have it.
I'm an avid traveler.
Okay.
And I go on a trip every fall with my mom and her sisters. It's a women's travel group. It's called Women's Getaway Weekend through a travel agency.
You have a group.
It's a group.
It's like, oh, wow.
So it's a bunch of women who maybe their husbands do not travel. Maybe they don't want to go with their husbands. Maybe they're widowed. Maybe they've never been married.
It's that group of people that have common interests or like the outcasts and then just found each other.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So just because we're all women.
Yeah.
That's how we found each other.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're from like the same kind of area a little bit.
Okay.
But I go to Europe in the fall. I started in 2016 and I went to Italy. Okay. I then went to Scotland. I've been to Buenos Aires, Argentina, Switzerland, Ireland. I feel like I'm missing one. I was supposed to go to Greece. Oh, Italy. Did I say Italy? I think I said that first. I was supposed to go to Greece, but that was happening in 2020, and I just didn't go. So that's a bummer.
But Ireland was a given. I know your mom was a trip for your mother.
Ireland, Scotland. I have to say, Buenos Aires, Argentina was so cool.
Yeah.
Such a clean city. Yeah. Oh, I've been to Madrid, Spain.
Okay.
That's the one I was missing.
The architecture there must have been beautiful.
But doing the day trip to Barcelona, that was incredible. Yeah. And I have friends leaving on a cruise out of Barcelona in a couple of days. So I'm like super jealous. We were just talking about it today. Yeah. But I think it's a toss-up. I was in Switzerland too. I don't know if I mentioned that. It's a toss-up between Switzerland, but that's more like it's kind of Americanized. But I think I'm going to choose Buenos Aires, Argentina, because it was such a clean city. The food was incredible. I bet. And like just there's like countryside to
like
it.
A meat person?
And the city. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh my gosh. We went to a gaucho ranch and it was all the meats.
Yeah.
All the meats.
I bet.
Oh, I loved it. It was so much fun. And then it rained and we were like mud bogging the whole way out because the rain over there in Argentina is kind of like snow to us. So it was insane. But like I really enjoyed it. Good. Really enjoyed that.
That's awesome.
Easy to navigate too.
True.
That's important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Andrea's from Uruguay. We talk about Argentina all the time, so it's like they're right next to each other, and then it's like there's some beef there. But Andrea, I don't know. We just tease her because it's like, you know, Uruguay.
Such a small little country there in South America. Yeah.
The other day, we were just talking about it on the group chat, and I'm like, Uruguay is not even a real place. And she was so mad. But then again, it's like, it's so beautiful to see how, you know, right next to another country, you have this rich culture that is so complex and so different from one another. And it's nice to see. So I bet that you have seen that when you went to all these places. Like,
well, we don't sleep a lot when we travel because it's usually like a 6 or 7 day trip. Oh, okay. And so the minute you land, you hit the ground running. Yeah. Like you don't sleep till that night. And chances are you're probably not sleeping on the plane flying wherever you're going.
Yeah, it's so uncomfortable.
So it's, it's tough. I'm not upgrading because I'm just going to grin and bear it.
Yeah, get
coach.
The whole experience.
Go and coach. But yeah, no, and just traveling with my family, on my mom's side of the family, my aunts and my mom, like that's priceless. Yeah. I mean, those are memories that you're creating with your family.
Absolutely.
And I love that. And I take care of them. So I don't always speak the language. So like we mentioned, where would I live with? I don't speak Spanish. Yeah. I took German in high school and in college. Don't really know a lot of Spanish.
It happens, and if you don't practice it, you mean it's a muscle. You lose it if you don't use it.
If you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah. But that's okay. So now we open that can of worms.
Yeah,
now
traveling.
I need to know, what is your favorite story from traveling with the ladies?
Oh my!
I know that there must be a whole bunch, and you're gonna have to weed through it.
There's so many.
But I want to know your favorite absolute one.
It's a favorite and it's stressful at the same time.
Okay.
I'll tell you,
Those are always the best.
Spain was tough.
Yeah.
Because I don't really speak Spanish.
Okay.
And at that time, like I don't know why, but I didn't get the internet plan. So like I didn't get the international cell phone plan,
Okay.
like with all of that stuff. And I'm like, what am I thinking? Like I can't even translate.
Yeah.
And people in Spain, especially Madrid, because it's a very artsy city, they speak not a lick of English.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to go to a cooking class.
Mm-hmm.
He had us all over everywhere but where we were supposed to be. So we were late to this class.
Okay.
And we show up and we were making paella and sangria. It was so good.
Yeah,
and we went to the market and got all of our fresh ingredients.
Wow.
So the nice thing was that they waited for us.
Okay.
But we arrived, but we were like 20 minutes late.
Okay.
And I hate being late.
Yeah.
So that's a real big pet peeve.
Okay.
And I think also just navigating the public transportation when you've got three older ladies in their 60s, 70s. I'm not going to throw their actual ages out there. But just saying, okay, everyone get up. We're getting off at the next bus stop. Yeah. So like I have to prepare them because they don't just get up and run off a bus like younger folks do. It's a preparation. Gather your stuff, stand up, grab the handle, because when they open those doors for you to get off that bus at that stop, you have like 2 seconds. Like get out.
That's it.
But yeah, I think just navigating them around. But it's also fun because then we look back and we laugh upon it.
I feel like the best stories, they have a little bit of that stress and it's like difficult situations. But then you look at it and it's like you just laugh and laugh and laugh.
But I feel like they don't stress like I stress.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, then that's why.
Like,
because
everything's
you're stressing
on me.
so I can... Exactly. Yeah. So I can relax. I know Curin got it.
I have my stepfather telling me, don't mess anything up with your aunts and your mom. Yeah. My uncle telling me, I will beat your butt if anything happens to my wife. And then my other aunt's boyfriend is saying, oh, go have fun. Yeah, I'm like okay, so I've got 2 pressures and 1 not.
But that must be so fun.
It is. It's so much fun. Amazing. I love the memories that we create.
Yeah. Cool. So, but it's also commendable because it's the fact that usually when anybody travels, they tend to travel to places where they know that they're more secure or more safe in the sense that I know I speak the language. Like I know I'm from the Dominican, so it's like an island and everybody says, oh, I've been to Punta Cana. Punta Cana is like, it's the tourist side, so everybody's going to speak English there. Like they train people so that you can communicate, so, and you can stay put right there. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if you leave the resort, then that's it. It's like,
all bets are off.
Yeah, all bets are off. But then it's because of where it's located, because if you go to the capital is like, there's so many people that can speak the language. Mm-hmm. But there are other cultures that they don't necessarily... branch out or learn any other languages. No. Like I've heard of Japan, for example, that they're very like, I want to go, but then now I know, okay, you said that. I'm like, okay, I need to have an internet plan for the translation app.
And
it's
real.
And again, this is my bread and butter. This is what I live off of. I have an app that I can actually get an interpreter if I get in trouble.
Right.
So, at least I have that tool. But if I didn't, then...
If I'm in trouble and I'm overseas, I'm having the international plan and I have your phone number, Arturo. I'm going to find you.
You'll find me no matter what.
It might be an off hour because of the time difference.
It does not matter.
I'll text you. I will call you. I'm like, what can I do?
I mean, just
you're my go-to.
See, there you
for
go.
Translation.
That's not a problem anymore.
Yeah.
Well, it's so cool that you guys do that. That's amazing. And it's a nice way to recharge your batteries,
Yeah.
And I feel like someone that is traveled, someone that has seen the world in a different way, like your mind just expands so much.
Yeah.
It's crazy because you get to see different people and their lifestyles and you see how my life is not just this. The world is not just this. It's like so many different things to see and to do. And I feel like that expands us more and gives us more empathy too.
Yeah, and I think our culture over here in the States, especially on the East Coast, especially where we live, is so fast paced.
Yeah.
You got Philadelphia, you got New York City, you got all those big cities.
Yeah.
Whereas I think when you go over there, they take a moment to like just enjoy their lives. Like when you go to like the German, like I've been to Germany as well, Austria and Switzerland when I was in high school for the German trip.
Nice.
And I've done that. And they close down early or they close down for lunchtime because they go home and have lunch with their families.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
Like we don't get to do that.
Yeah.
We got people who they're lucky if they get 15 to 30 minutes for a lunch break or any break. Whereas
Absolutely.
they're taking a solid 2 hours. They close their store.
Yeah.
They don't care what's going on. They might close the bank down, whatever the case is, just to spend time and eat as a family.
And that begs the question is like, why, if a country as big as Germany, like
Mm-hmm.
they have this custom and they're actually progressing, you can see that they're moving forward, their economy is strong. It's like, why do we do this to ourselves? And that goes back to the mental health situation.
Yes.
So it's actually literally affecting my mental health. Like, why do we keep doing it?
Yeah. And you asked, like, I don't even know that I sleep well at night because I'll wake up in the middle of the night thinking of, oh my gosh, did I do this?
Yeah.
Oh, I have to do this tomorrow. I can't forget to do this. I can't forget to do that.
Yeah.
And I always have a notepad on my bedstand because sometimes I'll wake up and I have to write something down because I won't be able to get that off my mind to go back to sleep.
I hear you.
But you're right. It helps. Well, it hurts your mental health.
Yeah.
Constantly having to be everything to everyone. I think that's a lot of the pressure.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who are in sales or own their own business put more pressure on themselves than anyone else puts on them.
Absolutely.
So I think that the good sales folks, the people that care, do that.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make it healthy? Probably not.
No.
But I think that I've come to learn more work-life balance, especially probably since like January. I've really tried to make a focus on that for this year, is to learn to say no, and it's okay to say no and not make every single meeting and have 12-hour work days 4 days a week.
Yeah.
And then still have to go work an 8-hour day on a Friday.
Absolutely.
Or have an event on a weekend. So I think just coming to terms with that, but you also have to get to a point in your career where you can do that.
Yeah.
Because now you have that name association with folks and people know who you are.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a catch-22.
Absolutely. But I think that you said it right there, is the fact that your career early on is making those connections so that eventually you are able to step back. Obviously, you're not going to think of it that way when you're starting off.
Right.
That, okay, eventually I'm going to have enough so that I can step back, because you're going to get into the rhythm. Like you said, you 21 years working 2 jobs, and it's like not like I can stop. I bet that it took the life out of you to actually make the transition, because you were used to it, and you were the type of person that I'm sure that it was ingrained into you. It's like, you got to do the hard work. You know, you're a hard worker, you push, and then you become something, but then you have to put the grind in.
Yeah.
So it's hard to like step away from, I'm working, that doesn't mean that I'm being productive.
Right.
So it's like what you said. It's like, it's important to take the time to recharge your batteries, and then you can't give 100% of yourself if you are not 100%.
Correct. You're exactly right. Well, and I think that oftentimes, like, I've never been married and I don't have kids.
Okay.
So oftentimes my career aspirations and goals sometimes got in the way of my personal life.
Okay.
So now I've kind of taken a step back to, make my personal life a little bit more of a priority than I have in years past. But it takes, a special person in your life to make you want to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're not going to just do that for anybody who's giving you the bare minimum. But if they're meeting you halfway, or, maybe when you're at 40, they're at 60, or the other way around, that's when it works.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
when it's not another job that you're doing, yet it's more like you're creating your own family, you're creating your own relationship and things of that nature. So I think as I got older, it's like, I didn't wake up and say, oh my gosh, I'm 45, I need to be in a relationship. No.
Yeah, exactly.
But when you find the right person that complements you, and you complement each other, I think that's when it works, and it's not a job, it's more of something you enjoy doing. And it's also a way to recharge your battery.
Absolutely.
If that makes any sense.
No, that makes all the sense in the world, because it's like what you just said right now, you are my peace.
Yeah.
So that's it. You are my calm to the storm. I have a storm every day,
All day,
but when
every
I
day.
come to you, it's like, I'm okay. I feel calm.
Exactly.
And that's I hear you.
Yeah. Yes. But it takes a lot to get through the people that aren't like that, to find somebody who is like, you got to navigate.
Yeah. But then I'm glad that sounds like you're there.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very happy right now.
Good.
I'm lucky. I'm blessed. For sure.
That's the best.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So I'm not going to take up more of your time. I think that we have a lot to unpack in the episode. It's amazing. I'm just thinking to myself, like, did I even start recording? I don't even know.
You better have.
Yeah, I know I did. But
I said a lot of things. I don't know if I can repeat all of them.
Oh no, we're good. Like I'm recording here. I know that we're recording somewhere, but I'm glad that it got to happen. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
We will, I know that this is not the last time we'll see you. So
definitely not.
thank you.
Thank you.